Today I'm joined by Christian Chodecki. Hope I pronounced that right, Christian. Christian is the CEO of Custom Toys UK, a character-focused marketing company working with Europe's best brands. So welcome, Christian.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here, Simon.
Okay, no, thank you for joining us. Christian, tell us a little bit about Custom Toys UK.
Cool.
What is it? What do you do?
Cool. So we create figurines and toys for brands, Europe's best brands, as you put it. But we help our clients emotionally connect with their customers. So a lot of the time, they're using the toys and figurines that we create for them at expos, things like that. So to grab attention, and that kind of thing. Or with our larger like B2C clients, they're using the toys that we create to sort of win over the hearts of their ideal customer. So getting into the hearts and the homes of their customers. That's what we help brands do.
And homes of customers, I like that. And any any well-known brands that you do things for that you can share?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've got one of these, but AO.com, we make the little green teddy bears for them.
Yeah.
They're our biggest customer. We recently, this year, hit 1 million bears
Wow.
for them. So they're our biggest customer. But yeah, we work from there's a whole range of different clients that we do. A lot of them are sort of B2B tech companies, so a lot of software companies. We do the Dulux Old English sheepdogs.
Oh wow.
Um,
Love that. Yeah.
Octopus Energy is another one of our clients. So there's a lot of household names that we will
Yeah.
have done. We even did some toys for Ed Sheeran's tour.
Oh,
So yeah, there's
yeah.
it's all different industries. But yeah,
Thank you.
there's a
Look,
few in
thank you
there.
for sharing that. That's great. And look, I'm always interested to know, Christian, in terms of why people decided to go into business. So I think you started your business with your father back in 2015. Have I got that right?
Well, yeah. So Custom Toys was born in 2015.
Yeah.
But I've been working with my dad since I was 14 years old. So I've been through many different guises. We've been working together. We started off as a gadget online retailer, selling little remote control helicopters and that kind of thing. That was back when I was like 14, 15 years old. I was working with him then.
Yeah.
But then when I left the business, went off to uni, came back and rejoined the business after uni as a salesperson. And we were doing promotional merchandise. So things like mugs, pens, things that you'd order with a logo printed on them. And essentially, we had our first inquiry for plush toys. I don't know if you've ever worked with any family. It's really hard. It's really hard to work with family. So we had plenty of arguments. And then yeah, so 6 months into me rejoining the business, we had a deal working for a large charity creating plush toys, which he'd never done before. So I took that on, took that project under my wing, really learned everything there was to learn about plush toys, why you would do them, how to find an ethical supplier, how to make sure that the toys meet all the required um, legislation, make sure they're labeled correctly, how make sure we imported them correctly, um, all of that. There's a lot to learn, but that project was really, really successful. So at the end of the project, I said to my dad, right, let's separate into two different businesses now. I'll just look after plush toys. I know everything there is to know about plush toys now. We've had one really successful project. But if I was a business looking to get toys produced, I wouldn't want to go to a promotional merchandise company. I'd want to go to a toy company. So that's where Custom Toys was born. And yeah, that was back 10 years ago now. We're in our 10th year. But yeah, that's where it all came about. So it didn't come about from a specific um, interest or obsession with toys or anything like that. It was very much an opportunity that arose, and being placing ourselves in an area where there is demand and a need.
Okay. And was Was being a business owner something that you're running a business always something that you wanted to do? You know, when
Yeah,
you mentioned about
definitely.
being at university, was it like actually, yeah, when I leave university, I'm going to, in some way, shape, or form, go into business?
Yeah, I think if it was up to me, I would have left school at 14 and started a business then. But I had to settle for helping my dad with his business.
Yeah,
And then when I went to university, it was kind of just it kind of got drummed into me that I need to have options. So I studied business at university, um, but I was always going to start a business. That was I honestly think I was always destined to do that. Um, so yeah,
yeah, what
that
you
was something I was always going to try first. I wanted to be in control of my own destiny.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that was always in the playbook for me
Okay.
to run a business.
And you mentioned there about, the challenge of working in a family business.
Hmm.
Um, how, is there any tips that you can give to people listening or watching this um, that might be in a family business that you've put in place that makes it
Sure.
easier to work together or operate? Or
Um, it's a tricky one. It's really tempting as an entrepreneur or as someone looking to start a business. It's super tempting to want to work with your friends and family because you know and you trust and you love your friends and family. And I think there's a massive pull to make it seem like a good idea. I think it's really difficult to pull it off. And I think we clashed a lot in the first 6 months when I wasn't a kid anymore and I was wanted to be taken seriously and I wanted my opinions to be heard because you're not working for your manager, you're working for your dad, and there's a difference. Um, that at the same time, by myself having that opportunity to work with my dad, it did give us a massive head start. Like I was able to already have office space, already have a business set up that I was able to start employing people from. Um, I've had a tremendous amount of support and guidance from my dad um, throughout the whole business. When things go wrong, you've got support and they know the ins and outs of everything. Um, so I haven't really given you an answer there. It's just something you've got to take the good with the bad. It's there's a lot of benefits from working with your family, but it's also you've got to be prepared that it's so hard to toe that line between father and son and business partner. It's
business,
really
yeah,
hard.
yeah, trying to keep
Um, and I
separate.
think how we overcame that was by working more with each other than for each other. I think that was the difference. At that time as well, I was also living at home, so it was really hard to separate work from life. Um, so yeah, I think I've
And
learned a
I've
lot.
worked with a number of sort of family businesses, and I think for me, I think one of the key things is clarity of roles,
Hmm.
clarity of actually who does what. So okay, who's taking ownership for sales, who's taking ownership for finance, who's taking ownership for operations, so that everybody knows what they're doing and what everyone's contributing to it. The other thing is a clear vision
Hmm.
um, of what everybody's looking to achieve. Because sometimes I found with family businesses, there's not clarity of what they ultimately want to achieve. So you've got part of the family going, well, we want to achieve this, and part of the family we want to achieve this. So actually getting, I think the two things that I would share is one, clarity on vision, and two, clarity on the roles that each person plays in that particular business. But look, thank you for sharing. And look, we were talking about challenges there. What would you say that the biggest challenge that you've faced being a business owner has been?
The biggest challenge, me on a personal level or the business?
Either, either.
Uh, biggest challenge I would say the something that I've always struggled with and something that we've really only cracked in the last couple of years is really niching down our target audience.
Right.
I think part of being an entrepreneur is that little switch in your brain that sees an opportunity in everything. And I think being able to focus our energy to a collective goal. You kind of touched on it just then with one of the difficulties of working with families, having different goals, but actually being able to outline a goal and a target. I think that is something that I've really learned.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd say that's probably been the biggest challenge. Is that the biggest challenge?
And you're right. It, in my experience, it can be that can be a common challenge for a number of businesses because you're right. People are concerned about narrowing down their market. It's like, well, what if I narrow down my market? What about all these other people that I could be missing out on?
Yeah,
So niching, whilst it's really, really important, it can be a real challenge. There's that fear
absolutely,
of going,
absolutely. That internal monologue that you just described there is exactly what I've been battled against with anyone from a marketing perspective. Will be like, right, niche down your audience. I'm like, yeah, but what about all this stuff over here? Because we can make toys for them, and that would work, and this would work. So yeah, that's definitely a challenge. And another challenge which took me a long time to learn as well would be being okay with the fact that I'm not the best at everything. And being really aware that I'm actually not the best at much at all. And as a business owner and an entrepreneur, your real bit that you're talented in is spotting the opportunity. That's if I speak from my personal opinion anyway, that's the bit that I'm good at. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a good manager. It doesn't mean that I'm good at setting up processes. It doesn't mean that I'm a good designer. So I think something that I learned was like stop trying to, especially when I was when building the team, is to make sure that I'm hiring people that are better than me at the things that we're bringing them in to do. Not that they are someone that I always need to take under my wing and show them how to do stuff. And I think that's something that's like super obvious now looking back. But at the start, you think, oh, I can do everything, and you really really can't, and that's why you need a really good team behind you.
there's a number of real sort of key things wrapped up in that, which is, yeah, understand your own strengths,
Hmm.
understand the areas that perhaps you're not so quite so good in, surround yourself by a great team, always employ people that are better than you. Why would you employ somebody that is not as good as you at marketing to do your marketing?
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense. So yeah,
I know. And
the
when
real
you say it out loud, it's so obvious, but I think definitely in the early years that just didn't occur to me. I was like, how am I going to teach this person how to do this? Like that's not right.
and I've mentioned this actually I think a couple of times on these uh, discussions that I've had with people. In that there's a great book about being in your being in your element. Okay, and what it talks. Sorry, actually, even saying the wrong book now. Apologies. Um, the book is called The E Myth. Okay, by Michael Gerber, and he talks in that book that a business generally has three types of people: an entrepreneur, uh, a manager, and a technician.
Hmm.
Okay. The entrepreneur is exactly the type of person that you described. The person that comes up with all the ideas, spots all the opportunities. The problem with the entrepreneur is that they leave a wake of destruction behind them because they're trying to go on the next thing. Let's do this. Let's do this. That's the manager's role. The manager gets all of those ideas and puts them into processes and systems and organizes them, goals and how they're going to achieve those goals, an action plan. And then you've got the technicians that implement the plans and follow the processes and systems. And he says every business needs people that does each of those roles. And if you're a solopreneur, you need to do all three of them. Until you can surround yourself by that great team. So I love that share. Thank you very much for sharing it. And if you could wave a magic wand,
Hmm.
what's the main challenge that you would solve now?
I mean, I feel like we're on the way to doing it. I mean, acquiring new customers has always got like that's gonna be the thing that keeps me up at night and the thing that drives me to turn up to work every day. I love acquiring new customers. I love every part of that, whether it's making yourself visible enough that they come to you, or making or finding the right avenues to reach out to the right people. Um, Bringing in a new client over the line is always amazing.
Yeah.
So if I could wave a magic wand and just that, I would just do that over and over and over and over again because I love it. I'm obsessed with it. But I think we've gone what you described from that book. I've not read that book, but I completely agree with. We've gone through that process of having to bring in a manager and breaking lots of things to then fix them again. We've got a technician that builds all of the bits that make it all work. So I totally, I mean, that's how we run. And um, I think it would just be to carry on doing what we're doing. I'm happy with what, I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer. What I would solve instantly overnight. But yeah, to me, it's always the focus is on acquiring new customers.
Yeah, acquiring new customers. Okay, that's cool. And look, it's been brilliant so far. You've shared a number of learnings that you've had since you've been in business. But if you had to pick your top learning since you've been in business, what would you say? What would you say it is?
Um, I don't want to repeat myself. I feel like it would be to make sure you're hiring people that are specialists in what what your weaknesses are. Being able to identify your weaknesses is super valuable. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, no, that's good. But
Yeah,
I think I
yeah,
think that's a brilliant one to share and to learn because you know you're right. It will, and it's and what I liked about what you sort of said earlier, Christian, is being self-aware.
mhm,
Going, actually, these are the areas that I'm strong in, but I can see that these other areas aren't my greatest. Right? How can I solve them? Okay, you can learn new skills. You can go, okay, well, I can learn about these things. I can try and do this, but actually, I want to make sure I focus on seeing those opportunities. And if I'm focusing on other things, I might be missing opportunities. So actually, let's get a great team around me. So yeah, I really love that share. I think it's one, a really top one. And look, if there's one question that I always like to ask everybody that's kind enough to join me on this discussion, and that's this: what's the best advice that you would give to an 18-year-old you?
best advice I'd give to an 18-year-old me. Um, Never think you know everything. There's so much to learn, and I think if an 18-year-old me had ChatGPT and the powers of AI at its fingertips, I think it'd be a bit dangerous. Because I think there's such a wealth of knowledge out there now, and it's so easily accessible. You don't even need to go out and buy a book and read a book. You can even have it explained to you in the terms. You can ask questions. So I think always ask questions, always stay inquisitive. Um, there's in every situation there's always an opportunity. So I think that's something that's really important if for anyone to like start a business as well, is that you have to be prepared for everything to go wrong because everything will go wrong. And if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be starting a business. So being able to spin the situation that you're in into a winning situation, I think is super valuable. But to an 18-year-old me, what would I'd probably say to just, yeah, keep learning. Don't think you know everything because you don't.
That's just jotting some things down there. And I like, what you said there. Never think you know everything. Stay inquisitive. Ask questions. Um, I like what you sort of said there about going into business as well. That understand that there will be knockbacks. There will be, let's not call them failures. Let's call them learning opportunities.
Mm.
Um, you know, and it's bouncing back from those things. That's the strength. Um, who was it? One of the boxers that said, it's not how many times you get hit, it's how many times you get back up.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's what came to mind when you sort of shared that. And look, there's some really interesting things that you've sort of shared on there. But I think for me, the the thing that I really liked about what you shared, and again, just to emphasize this again, and you've emphasized it as well, is um, about surrounding yourself with great people. And and I'm not just talking about the team there, but the way you were talking about, your father and your family previously as well. Um, your father sounded as though he was, a great support, a great mentor to you.
Mhm.
So actually surrounding yourself by great people, I think is really what stood out to me through this discussion. What stood out to you, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, just talking on that as well, it's made me think of something. So I think another lesson which was clear to me because I had a really good mentor with my father running through business. But we've always been very careful to grow sustainably.
Yeah,
And I think that's something that a lot that is a super easy mistake to make is to um, see the potential opportunity and go after it with maybe an optimism that isn't quite centered in reality. I think that's something that an 18-year-old, if I was going to go back to myself, I would have done some mad things. And I think that was already hammered into me that we have to grow sustainably and the cash flow is king. And so I think I've been very fortunate that I've been brought into the business world with a very level head, um, advising me along the way. Not that I have a level head. So I think that's been super helpful.
I'm not sure that anybody that goes into business has a level head.
No.
It's certainly a chosen a chosen path that to be familiar with and to be open to what to expect. So yeah, I get that. But um, well, look, Christian, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today and sharing more about your business, but also your journey as well. So thank you very much.
No problem at all. Been a pleasure. Thank you.